Hello and welcome to Eden Live, where I am reading all of Eden by FREI live on Facebook and on YouTube. And as you know, the recorded clips then find their way onto Instagram, IGTV. We are in volume 3 of Eden by FREI, the Snowflake Collector. I am reading from the illustrated version of it. This is the only volume in the in Eden by FREI that has an illustrated edition, and we are going to read chapter 6. But I promised you to show you. I was going to show you the illustrations, and there's one between chapter 5 and 6, and here it is. Chapter 6. A snowflake, not unlike him. Some of the snowflakes came down in clusters, others in twirling jumbles, and others still in flighty twists. But he knew he needed a steady snowflake that was on its own, a lone snowflake, disentangled, unburdened, unencumbered, free. A snowflake not unlike him, a snowflake that had been gently descending along its unspectacular way through the world and was now ready to leave its most particular, most individual mark. Such a snowflake soon caught his eye as it approached, a little slower than some of the clumpier ones around it, and a little faster than some of the ones that didn't quite seem formed yet. And he held out his bare hand with the glass plate on it, and as if a little curious, as if attracted, as if called by this strip of translucence in its path, it settled, and lo, it stayed, like a bed made for it, like a throne on which now to sit, like a home that was primed now and ready for it there to live. The snowflake accepted this destination and delivered its presence onto the plate, its intricate shape, its form, its identity kissed into the fast drying liquid. The Snowflake Collector looked at his treasure in sheer wonder. My dear good friend, I can't presume to know you, but may I name you Ferdinand? The snowflake did not object to being so named, and the Snowflake Collector solemnly took him inside, looked at him closely as he could with his bare eyes under the light, and he dabbed one more drop of superglue over him to fix him, and then lay another glass plate on top of Ferdinand to protect him. Also, he realized, to encase him. His bed, his throne, was also his tomb. Deep pain and anguish drove through the Snowflake Collector's heart at this moment. Am I committing a crime? Am I stealing Ferdinand's soul? Should he not have been allowed to ease himself onto the ground, or the bench, or the table, among his companions, and then melt away with the sun, seep into the ground, dissolve into his watery molecules, and find his way back into the rhythm of the universe? Is my keeping him captive here now, for as long as these glass plates will last, not depriving his spirit from turning into something else, something different, but equally wondrous? Is somewhere in the cycle of nature something now missing? Because I have named this snowflake Ferdinand and declared him mine own? This so deeply troubled the Snowflake Collector that he spent many hours sitting at his table in his very small kitchen, not eating anything, not even Bündnerfleisch, and barely touching his Ritterschnaps, wondering how, if ever, he could atone for this act of appropriation. Who am I, he thought, to claim such a beautiful thing? How dare I deprive it of its link to its past and its future? Is it not insufferably arrogant and presumptuous of me to make me his master? He felt the abyss of despair open up, its gaping void before him, and the urge to throw his successful case for the snowflakes into the fire overcame him, but he felt no power to let go of Ferdinand. Could it be, he wondered in passionate silence, that I am already in love with him? Has making him mine already made me his just as much? Am I already, only hours after capturing him, entirely under his spell? And this is only one, my first one. How will I bear adding to him? Will he and the power he has over me not become so overwhelming as to be meaningless? Will he and his fellows, his peers, entirely take over? Will I succumb to their unbearable potency? The Snowflake Collector did not go to bed that night. Slumped over the table by the flickering flames in the stove, he sat there, clasping the glass plates between which he had immortalized by, he felt, killing his snowflake friend Ferdinand. And when he woke up in the morning, the blood from his thumb, where the sharp edge of the glass had cut into his flesh, had encrusted his hand and the table and also the glass. And the drop of his blood had seeped in between the two glass plates, and so together with his first snowflake, there was now preserved there also a drop of himself. And he said to himself, so be it. I shall surrender to the will of the universe, and if it is not the will of the universe, it is the frivolity of my imagination I shall follow. Ferdinand will forgive me, or maybe he can't, but I shall make his agony worthwhile. I shall share him with the world. That way, maybe he too, not just I, can have a purpose beyond our mere existence. He put Ferdinand in his pocket and, still not having eaten anything, made his way down to the inn on the edge of the hamlet, an hour or so from his hut, and there introduced him, holding out his still unwashed, bloodied hand, to Jan. Look, he said, and Janos took the plate from his hand and held it up against the light, and his eyes lit up with equal awe. Janos, after a minute or two of examining him, took out his smartphone and photographed him with the light shining through him, and handed him back and asked, what name did you choose? Ferdinand. I like Ferdinand, Janos said. I'll have to get hold of a macro lens for my camera, so I can take better pictures. And that is it for today. That's the chapter I wanted to read in the Snowflake Collector, the 6th chapter. Well, we'll continue, of course, on Monday. So if you're watching this in real time, then you'll find me again on Monday at the usual time at 6:15 p.m. London time. And if you're watching this in your own sweet time, which I know the majority of you are, then I will see you whenever, and you will see me when I'm ready for you, which will be soon after this one. Until then, if a weekend falls in between this session and the next one, as it does for me, I wish you a very lovely and peaceful weekend. Take good care, stay safe and sane, love and let love, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.